Hey everyone, it's Saoirse. I've been in a major reading slump since August. I think this year is hitting me hard. It was hitting me hard from the beginning, but it's just not ending and things keep piling up and it's very, very hard for me to focus on reading when I'm anxious and sad. For some people it's an escape, but I just can't get myself to look at words on a page when I'm like that. But the thing that I can do is read something short or, short. So poetry is really good for me. And I was super excited to find out that Rupi Kaur has put out a new book because I don't know if you've read her other books, but I remember when I saw Milk and Honey on the shelf years ago, and I just really liked the aesthetic of it, so I picked it up and read it, and she does all of her illustrations herself, writes poems, illustrates them, super impressive. I can only aspire to be like that. Then I also read her second book, The Sun and Her Flowers, gorgeous, and I think this was a few years ago, 2017. I have a kitty right here. So I knew as soon as I heard that she had a new one, I'd be running out to the bookstore to get it as soon as I could, and that is Homebody. And it's great because the poems are really short, so I'm still reading the Sylvia Plath collection, but those poems are sometimes longer and really involved and have a lot of imagery it's difficult if your brain is already sabotaging you and not working right for you, then it's going to be hard to digest. But Rupi Kaur's poetry is really short, to the point, and I don't want to say simple because it's got a lot of depth to it, but it's easy to read the entire thing in one night. Let's put it that way. And I did that. I told myself I want to enjoy this. I haven't been able to read in months. I'm so stressed, I'm so anxious. I want to light a candle and really enjoy this collection of poetry, and I don't want it to be over in one night. So I thought I'd read the different sections, because there's 4 sections: mind, heart, rest, and awake. Once you get through the first section, you're like, okay, that didn't take me very long, so I'm just going to maybe I'll just read one more section. And then before I knew it, I read the whole thing, and it maybe took an hour. So really enjoyed it though, the reading experience, just getting fully enveloped in these words of this one person throughout this collection that is divided by these subjects. And you can see how each poem fits into the subjects, which I like, because I've been thinking a lot lately. I've been really struggling with NaNoWriMo and writing fiction at all, and especially long fiction. It's just been weighing on me lately, and I think I'm leaning a lot more towards poetry these days. And I always tell myself, I'm not good enough. I couldn't possibly write any poetry that's worth reading. But poetry is so subjective because it can be anything. She doesn't use a rhyme scheme in her poems, and a lot of times when I write poetry, I rhyme, but I rhyme for that rhythm, but I don't rhyme in a traditional rhyme scheme. So I tell myself it wouldn't be accepted because I'm rhyming, but I'm not rhyming correctly. I like to believe there's no correct way to do it because it's art, but then teachers of poetry might say different. But I just want to share some of my favorite poems from this book, and you'll see they go really quick. I'm not going to read you everything, obviously. I want you to go and get this, but some of the ones that resonated with me. My mind keeps running off to dark corners and coming back with reasons for why I am not enough. If that doesn't just sum me up. It feels like I'm watching my life happen through a fuzzy television screen. I feel far away from this world, almost foreign in this body. as if every happy memory has been wiped clean from the bowl of my mind. I close my eyes, and I can't remember what happy feels like. My chest collapses into my stomach, knowing that I have to get up in the morning and pretend I'm not fading away all over again. I want to reach out and touch things. I want to feel them touch me back. I want to live. I want the vitality of my life back. That really hit me because sometimes depression gets me like at night, and that's the really scary time. But lately it's been the morning depression that's really hard, when you wake up and you go, oh no, we're not doing this all over again. I don't want to do this all over again. It's too much. I can't bear to be conscious right now, so I tend to just sleep a lot. So that really got me when I read that. I want to live. I'm just afraid I won't measure up to the idea people have of me in their heads. I'm afraid of getting older, scared I'll never write anything worth reading again, that I'll disappoint the people who are counting on me, that I'll never learn how to be happy, that I'll be broke again one day, that my parents will die, and I'll be alone in the end. So someone who has sold millions of books and had her work translated into so many languages, even she feels all of this stuff that I feel all the time, that I'm going to be inadequate, I'm going to disappoint people, that none of my past successes really mean anything because I can't continue to produce to that level, you know? So it really is comforting to know that everybody, even these people we admire, really feel like that too. I'm either romanticizing the past or I'm busy worrying about the future. It's no wonder I don't feel alive. I'm not living in the only moment that's real. And that's called present. So sometimes she does like the titles at the end of the poem. And I've noticed after her first collection came out that a lot of other poets were doing that, and maybe that's a thing, but I feel like she kind of really popularized this style of these short, almost just thought poetry. And some people are so salty about it, like, that's not real poetry, that's not what poetry is. Get off your high horse, because anything that introduces any reader to a different form of art is worth it and worth exploring and applauding. And I don't think we should be putting other writers down because it's not our style of poetry or the way that we learned it when we were in school. And not all poets are the same, and writing doesn't stay the same over the centuries. Like, remember back in the day when novels weren't a thing? There was the written word, there were written documents, but novels weren't a thing yet. So just back off. I am not a victim of my life. What I went through pulled a warrior out of me, and it is my greatest honor to be her. And this is one of her ones that she illustrated. I'm tired of being disappointed in the home that keeps me alive. I'm exhausted by the energy it takes to hate myself. And that's called I'm Putting the Hate Down. And I love that one because it really is so exhausting to constantly put yourself down, to degrade yourself to other people. And that's something I've got to work on not doing because we've all got imposter syndrome. I've got it bad. So I think everything I do is garbage and nothing I say is worth it. And I make the mistake of like telling people that and projecting that because I want to be honest. I don't want everybody to think that I'm having this great time because I'm not. But like, there's got to be a line between selling yourself, like overselling yourself and lying about your mental health and, you know, the Instagram effect, like pretending that you only have good times and hiding the bad times. There's got to be something between that and putting yourself down constantly and just telling everybody how crap you think you are. Working on finding that balance. And this is from the section Heart. So those were all from Mind. This is Heart. Sometimes I love you means I want to love you. Sometimes I love you means I'll stay a little while longer. Sometimes I love you means I'm not sure how to leave. Sometimes I love you means I have nowhere else to go. Where's the illustration for that? That one got me good. Relationships are so very complicated. That's the understatement of the century. Oh, this is a good one. Men like him are experts at smelling out girls like me, the invisible ones, who believe they must be ugly because their fathers didn't love them. He said my name, and I had never heard my name dance off a man's lips before. Give a little attention to someone who's never had any, and they'll be slipping and falling all over the place, unable to contain the joy of being wanted, the relief of being discovered. He groomed me into thinking I couldn't survive without him. This is how men like him trap girls like me. That's called Predator. Just love that one. Very important topic. My cat is on my lap making biscuits right now. You can't even see him. He's right here. He's right here. He's purring. He's a happy boy. I really need like a little table. That would be useful. I won't read the whole one, but this is from Consequences. After seeing all my magic, you hit your head and lost it, went and scattered yourself across this town, thinking if you were lucky enough to taste me, you'd get your hands on something better. Everything dulled in comparison. Now you're back, body spilling all over my floor. I love this one. It's about like, you know, a guy meets a woman who's really wonderful, and he thinks that because he's met her, there's got to be something better than that. And he goes out everywhere looking for it, and then comes back begging her. And Springer. And I don't know, that really resonates with me, because in this age we're all constantly looking for the next thing that will be better, you know, who's got the new iPhone, and it totally translates to people too. We think that everybody's just replaceable, and that when we have a really good connection with someone, surely the next one will be better, and the next one after that will be better, so we never really have to decide or make any, you know, lasting decisions or choices, because because there's always something greater out there, and it is really flawed thinking, and it's a really dangerous place to get into. This cat is so snuggly. Why do I hurt the ones who want to lift me up and worship the ones who crush me? That's called What Made Me Like This. Wouldn't I like to know? I want you to wipe away everything you know about love and start with one word: kindness. Give it to them, let them give it to you. Be two pillars equal in your love, and you'll carry empires on your backs. That is so important, isn't it? If everybody were just a little more kind to each other, wouldn't it be such a wonderful world? If we could be, you know, try to be more understanding, try to stop using each other. If we think we're misinterpreting something, or if something doesn't feel right, communicate, talk about it. Try and find out maybe you've got it wrong, instead of just being cruel or not really seeing someone for who they are because you're too lazy. Just be kind and understanding and open. Happiness grew old waiting for me, and I grew old searching for happiness in places it did not live. Can't tell you how many times I wished that I had like just a rule book or a book of answers that tells me this is exactly what you need to do to be happy. You don't need to make any more mistakes. This is it. Just follow this, like a recipe. Wouldn't that be great? This is from I Am Complete Simply Because I Am Imperfect. I don't need fixing. I will be searching for answers my whole life, not because I'm a half-formed thing, but because I'm brilliant enough to keep growing. I loved that. Because I always think there must be something really defective about me when I fail at things, or, you know, anything just doesn't go the way that I had planned it or the way that I wanted it. I think it must be my fault, and there's just something severely wrong with me. But I'm not a half-formed thing. Like she says, it's that we're all growing. We're all constantly growing, and the thing is to not be afraid of that growth, which I know is easier said than done, but you won't get very far if you're always afraid of changing. And then this section is awake. Oh, I didn't read any from rest. Did I not? No, that was from rest. No, yes. Those few were from rest, and I forgot to say it. Sorry. So this is from awake. I'm not interested in a feminism that thinks simply placing women at the top of oppressive systems is progress. That's called Not Your Convenient Figurehead. She has a few in here that are very timely. Women have been starved of space for so long. When one of us finally makes it into the arena, we get scared that another woman will take our spot. But space doesn't work like that. Look at all the men in the arena getting stronger as their numbers multiply. More women in the arena means more room for all of us to rise. And that's called Stronger Together. I love that one because it's so easy to be competitive, isn't it? Especially with social media now. We constantly compare ourselves to everyone, and especially, I know as a woman it's very difficult because I look at every other woman's life that I know, or even women that I don't know, and I think those are the things that I want. Why does she get to have all those things? And I have to remind myself it's okay to be happy for someone and also wish that you could have things that they have. You don't have to let envy completely dictate everything. This one made me cry. If the devil hadn't pushed you into a corner and forced you to break its neck, how would you have known you were this strong? And look at this illustration. I love it. That just got me so good because it's a really strong image. The devil pushing you into a corner and you have to break its neck. Because that's what it feels like. You know, that's what overcoming bouts of depression and knowing that you're, you know, if you have depression, it's going to be with you always, learning how to live with it and not constantly be struggling against it, but to grow with it. I've lost my place. I'm too excited. You are not alone. Alone would be if your heart no longer beat, and your lungs no longer pulled, and your breath no longer pushed. How are you alone if an entire community lives in you? That's from You Have All of You on Your Side. And that was a really interesting way to look at it. Because it's so easy to feel separate from ourselves, our bodies, and especially the things that are inside of us, our organs, because we're not really looking at those things, are we? And I always kind of think about that, like, I've got all these organs that I'll never see, hopefully I'll never see them, and they're doing their thing, and I can't talk to them, but they're all kind of communicating. And go back to my The Body by Bill Bryson video, like, it just blew my mind, all the things that are going on inside of us. So reading that I have my whole body on my side, it's trying to keep me alive, it's doing its best, so that was really comforting. I think this is the last one that I'll read. I will never have this version of me again. Let me slow down and be with her. It's called Always Evolving. That one got me good. At this point in the book, I was like blubbering, because we try to move so fast, and we, you know, as a kid I wanted to grow up, and now it's going too quickly, and that's terrifying me. I think ever since I hit 25 and I started going over, knowing I was over the hill into my late 20s, I could no longer say I was in my early 20s. That's when it just really hit me hard, like, oh no, I feel like I haven't done anything. I've done a lot in theory, but I still feel like I don't have what I want, and I feel like the time is completely running out for me. And I know a lot of people feel like that, but a lot of people also like to tell others, like, oh, you're so young, you have plenty of time, stop it. And that is not a helpful thing to say. Let me just tell you, it is not helpful, because when you feel that way, you really can't, it's hard to get out of it, and it becomes this spiral because you feel like you're on this insane roller coaster that is just going faster and faster and faster, and you can't stop it from gathering speed. You're getting older every year, and you can see it visually, and you can feel it, and it's all around you. Like when you start to realize that maybe kids that you knew when you were a teenager are now teenagers themselves, or they're adults, or they're getting married, and you're not married, and you want to be married, and or maybe you want to, I don't know, you want to climb Mount Everest, and like you haven't done it yet, and you know that doing something like that, you're gonna have to do all of these other things first, you know, get enough money for it, get the time, like get the experience, and it's just overwhelming. So I really felt comforted reading that book, and hearing her thoughts, and knowing that she's around the same age as me. I think she's maybe 1 or 2 years older than me. So it made me feel a little bit hopeful, but at the same time, I'm like, why am I not trying as hard, you know, with my writing? Why am I continuing to put myself down? Because it's so much easier to just do that than actually make an effort, because it feels like there's no point, you know. When you get like this, it can be hard to see a light at the end of the tunnel. It really feels like you've done everything you kind of can do or want to do, and what is there to really look forward to? And this year is definitely exacerbating that feeling times a million, because it feels like there is nothing happening, and it's, you know, the news is only bad, and so it's easy to fall into that pit. And reading used to be something that was really fun for me, and I enjoyed it. I never read like a ton. Like I've talked about this in other videos. Like I have a lot of books, I read a lot of books, but I'm not super fast. And like I read 52 books last year because I made that a goal and I really pushed for it. This year I'm doing about 25. So slowed down a lot, and that's okay. You know, different books will come for you at different times when you need them, and right now I really do not need Lolita, and it's like hanging over my head that I haven't finished that book. So it was a very, very nice break to get to just read poetry, and easy to read poetry, and the poetry that I could relate to. And so yeah, I definitely recommend her books. And as I said, I think a lot of poets now are kind of doing this same style, and it can be a great thing to just kind of dip into and read a quick little few lines that really relate to life, because they are just these thoughts. And I do a lot of writing like that are just, you know, one-liners, and then I tell myself, I've got to write an entire book to fit around this one line that I really like. But hey, I could just write it as poetry and leave it as it is, because I've said this before, I'm a lot more into words being beautiful, and sentences being structured in the perfect way, and just the one perfect sentence is what I want, more so than a massive involved plot or a lot of dialogue. So maybe I should get back into poetry, because I used to do a lot of that before I really was writing novels. So yeah, that would be nice to do that, and to do it without judging myself the entire time, because that's the hard part, isn't it? When you're writing, you're like, this is crap, you're terrible. Stop writing, put down your pen, stop typing. Nobody's gonna want to read this. And I always just feel so embarrassed, like even though nobody's watching me and nobody's reading it, I just feel embarrassed, because like I should be better. And the truth is, every poet that's published, every writer that's published, they have an editor, and they probably went through the same frustrations too. So let's not be so hard on ourselves. Let's try. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully next time I don't know, I'll finish Lolita. I promise I will. It might be Sylvia Plath though, because I'm getting closer with that one. But yeah, until then, happy reading.